Hello everyone, welcome to another Ultimate Fighter episode review. This is for the Ultimate Fighter Season 28 episode 5 titled Flavors Fight. And unlike other editions where I keep forgetting things, I actually wrote a bunch of keywords so to act as notes and they're in my phone. And the first thing I'm going to bring up is something I failed to bring up in the last episode, or I think I failed to bring it up anyway. Kelvin Gastelum got his black belt in the last episode from the coaches they invited to join him. So that was just really cool. I enjoyed that. So now that that's out of the way, we can focus on this episode. We open with the fighters returning after the fight between Mosea Allen and Julia Stolyarenko. And Mosea is carried in by Justin Frazier, I think. And her foot is like, there was a moment during where she took Julia down where she grazed her foot, and there was like a big chunk of skin missing right by her right big toe. And it looked pretty nasty, but then again, for one thing, she's going to recover just fine, and for another thing, she lost the fight, so she doesn't really have to worry about fighting anytime soon. And plus, if she did, she's injured, it would probably be ill-advised for her to fight, even though she would probably want to get back in the game because that's the type of person I assume she is. And on the other end, while Marseille was recovering from that injury, Julia got drunk. Yeah, she got sloshed something fierce. In her own words, like, she drinks mostly as a reset thing, and it happens after she wins a fight. But she has trouble with drinking, because she doesn't drink a lot, but when she does start, it's very difficult to get stopped, and she and Penny had 3 bottles of wine between them, and Julia was actually seen throwing it up. And Maurice Green was actually helping her, because he's a beer connoisseur himself, so he knows that sort of pain, and he was helping her along, because Maurice Green is just the nicest bloke in this season. I really like him. So yeah, he was very helpful about that. And Julia, poor girl, can't hold liquor, but then again, neither can I. So, and it wasn't really like it was wine. 3 bottles worth of it. That's a lot to get through. Yeah. Next, we're going to talk about the home videos again. First, we talk about Michel Batista and the fact that he used to be a bronze medalist in the Olympics. The dude even beat Daniel Cormier a couple of times in the past, and you got to remember, Daniel Cormier is both the heavyweight and light heavyweight champion in the UFC right now, so that's kind of a big accolade. But then again, that was like 10 odd years ago when Batista did that. There was a moment where he was talking to Larissa, and I think it was it Juan? I think it was Juan or Anderson. He was talking to one of those with Larissa there, and he was saying about how difficult it was growing up in Cuba because his mother, what am I doing? Michelle's mother, that's who, only makes about $15 a month. So if Michelle can make $100, that's like 20 odd salaries for her. So yeah, his reason is to, fight for his mom basically. And his day job before that was a security guard, where he started work at 9 at night, stopped at 4 in the morning, then would have to wake up about 4 hours later for training at a gym. I would not be able to do that. I gotta give props to Michel Batista. I mean, not only former Olympian and security guard, sort of. Yeah, doesn't really have a lot of time to sleep and stuff. Josh Parisian, he's sort of a little bit different in that terms. He did something for IT. He's actually kind of a nerdy fighter, as Macy, one of the people on his team, pointed out. He's a fan of World of Warcraft and all that, and he did some work on IT. I don't really remember what, but it was kind of cool to see something like that because it's not something you see. He also has some dogs. There's a St. Bernard, and St. Bernards are lovely dogs, as well as, I think, a couple of French Bulldogs. I think those are the other ones he has. Apparently, according to him, whenever his girlfriend asks for a kid, he gets her a new dog and she's fine with it. So, yeah, once again, we have a relationship. Even though his girlfriend isn't fighting in the competition with him, they do train together, they fight together, and they live and live together. So, once again, really good stuff. I got no problems with how the home videos went. I always liked them for some reason. So, yeah, it was really cool to see that. Then we have the fight prep. I want to talk about the fight prep. Now, this fight is kind of a classic striker versus grappler thing, with Josh being, even though he's one, I was going to say he's one of the bigger guys of the season, all the guys in the season are heavyweights. He's actually the most unorthodox striker and likes to throw a lot of spinning stuff, as we saw during his training. But they did go to work a little bit on his wrestling. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And they did sort of the similar thing with Michel Batista on Team Whittaker. They trained him mostly with his wrestling, with what he's good at, but trained him a bit in boxing as well. And Josh Parisian, we find out, did actually win the Tuesday night contender series by Dana White. But he never got into the UFC, and he was on The Ultimate Fighter as like a reserve just in case, and he got the call saying he was no longer a reserve and was on the show. So it's really cool to see that Josh came up through that way. It was really, really cool. And what else was there in training? Oh, Kelvin Gastelum brought in another special guest coach named John Walker, who is a mainly strength and conditioning coach. And John Walker met Kelvin Gastelum back on the Ultimate Fighter season 17 because John Walker used to train with Uriah Hall, who was the other finalist for that season. And Uriah Hall and Kelvin Gastelum were friends anyway, and John, I think he trains both of them. So yeah, they just built up a really, really good friendship. And John Walker still trains with Kelvin Gastelum to this day, even though he didn't start training him 5 years ago. It was more like 3 years ago. It was really, really cool. Yeah, just good stuff. Next, there was kind of an interesting one with Team Gastelum bringing over some food, and yeah, not just for their team, but I think for Team Whittaker as well. Even though Team Whittaker, the coaches weren't there, but Team Gastelum's coaches were, including Gastelum himself, because he's a leader, damn it, obviously. So yeah, they brought some food and they all had a good time. They had a couple of drinks and stuff, and it was just a really, really chill session. And Leia, once again, during the backstage talkie thing in the black room, said about like she wished she had that a bit more with Team Whittaker. Even though I would like to point out in the previous episode, they had like a run around in a lake. As I say a run around, they did like some paddleboarding in a lake, and that looked kind of fun as a team bonding thing. And Leia once again talking to Maurice Green, who's the most understanding guy there, and she's saying to him about, she's not got a problem with the coaches, which is good. She completely understands where they're coming from, but there's a lack of chemistry there, and Maurice completely agrees with that. And he says that there's a spot on Team Gastelum. Kelvin himself told Leia there's a spot on Team Gastelum if she wants it. So that was just really, really cool of them to like go through that and talk it out. I thought that was, I just thought that was really, really good. It's not just language barrier, but Leia obviously wants more than she's getting, and once again, like I said in the last episode review I did, I completely understand her point. Oh, speaking of things I couldn't review, I know I said this on Facebook, but I don't know how many people actually saw it. So, yeah, I couldn't review the last fight of the night on the UFC Fight Night thing because I couldn't really find a good version of it to watch. So, there you go. Anyway, yeah, really, really good stuff. I'm liking this little Leia Letson thing. It's not like constant nagging and just going on and on about it like Lauren Murphy did. I know, it's a running gag to bring up Lauren Murphy, but she was just the worst in that season. She really was. Anyway. Leia, I completely agree. I feel like she's going to move. I feel like this could be the easiest transition between teams. I just wonder how Whittaker is going to take it. Because I feel like some members of Team Whittaker know, pretty much all the members of Team Gastelum know that Leia wants to move over to the red side. Kelvin Gastelum himself knows, so that's going to be quite an interesting thing to work around. And finally, we have the actual fight itself between Michel Batista and Josh Parisian, and it was kind of a blowout for Michel Batista. He swept it clean. They started their touch gloves. Josh threw a couple of good strikes. Michel took him down and pretty much kept him down. There were good moments where Josh kept getting up, but Michel kept taking him down and down again, showing his Olympic wrestling pedigree. He was really, really good with his wrestling. There were moments where he took Josh down quite a lot and got some good ground and pound. There was a worrying moment about 30 seconds near the end of round one where he got a rear naked choke, but Josh managed to fight out of it and managed to survive the round, even though I definitely give it to Michel Batista, no doubt. Round two, once again, sort of started the same, but Josh just looked lazy. He came out aggressive again, but he walked this time, whereas in the first round it was more like a fast walk. And he threw a lazy kick and a lazy punch, and with the punch, the kick didn't do much damage, even though it landed to the body. Michel took Josh down, went for some good submissions. Josh did almost have a Kimura at one point. I feel like that's worth pointing out. He almost did have Kimura, but Michel just outclassed him on the ground, and eventually managed to get a good sideways position, half guard thing, and ground and pound until the referee stopped it. So Michel won by TKO, and it's now the second win in a row for Team Whittaker, and the fifth fight in. And yeah, all in all, I feel like it was such a one-sided fight. It's probably my least favourite fight of the season. I'm probably just comparing it to the last fight that we had, because that fight was really, really good and probably my favourite of the season so far, between Julia and Marseille. But I don't really hold a lot against this fight, and it ended in a pretty good finish. So yeah, pretty much everything that could have gone right did. And then we had the next fight announced, which was Bayer Maliki against Leia Letson. So with that in mind, the last two fights are going to be Ben Sassoli versus Juan Diepa, and Macy Chiasson, or Chason, however you say it, against Larissa Pacheco. So we've got all the other fights sorted out now, pretty much. Even though they didn't announce all of those, they just announced Leia and Bea. We already know that, like, because that fight's been announced, there's two more women that are left to fight, and that is Macy and Larissa. And because we've had the last male fight now, we know there's two men left to fight, who are Ben and Juan. So yeah, all in all, once again, really, really good episode. A lot of fun stuff. A slightly more toned down episode, though. With the exception of Julia getting drunk, which was kind of funny, I won't lie. And Leia once again talking about how she wants to move coaches and switch teams. And it with really, really good, valid reasons for doing so. I hope she does soon. And I hope that Team Whittaker is for like, no, yeah, we completely get it. That's the bit I'm worried about. I think that's the bit that's going to cause a little bit of drama. But who am I to say? Anyway, I think that'll about do with this review. I'll see you this weekend if there's a UFC to review. I'll hopefully see you not long after that for either another Ultimate Fight review or for the next What a Concept. I really should get a move on that. It's my bad. And I'll see you all next time. Not much else to say. Good episode, good stuff. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for listening. You're awesome. Bye. Bye.